America's harsh criminal justice system, how a Philadelphia judge sentenced a man to up to 4 years in prison for riding a dirt bike.
Meek Mill is set to be arraigned today on reckless endangerment charges for allegedly riding an ATV through Manhattan. Investigators say he posted a video on social media showing him riding the ATV and doing wheelies. That sentence for wheelies brought outrage because of his harshness and drew attention because of the defendant. You just heard him mentioned there in the news report, multi-platinum hip-hop artist Meek Mill. And unlike most inmates serving long sentences for even non-violent probation violations, Mill had the resources and the fame to fight this case. On the day he was released, he was seen jumping into a helicopter and flying to a basketball game flown by the owner of the 76ers. Now he is performing again and using different transportation at a concert this weekend. You see him here pulling up on the kind of dirt bike that was part of the probation violation. While Mill is free, this case is far from over. Today, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court deadlocked 3-3 over his request to get the probation judge removed over alleged bias. That means this judge stays on the job, and Mill is actually due back in court on Monday. He says he is now working on advocating wider criminal justice reform. Speaking at the Innocence Project Gala last month, he joined me for his first interview since the court's ruling today, and his first time on the beat. His lawyer, Jordan Sieve, is here as well. Thank you both for doing this. Why did you ride into that show on a dirt bike?
I thought it would be good entertainment if I came to the show with Summer Jam on a dirt bike, wouldn't it? It turned out to be good. Everybody liked it. It was exciting. We added excitement to the show, so, you know.
And your message there is that's not the kind of thing that gets most people arrested.
Not that I ever heard of coming up in America. I got 4 years sentence for that same type of willie just about 7 months ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And Jordan, when we look at this case, this ruling today had some good news in that 3 of the top judges in the state said there was reason to remove this judge in this case, but you didn't win. Where do you go from here?
Well, as you said, it's very significant that 3 of the 6 Pennsylvania Supreme Court justices that ruled in the case said that Judge Brinkley should have removed herself from the case and that she's undermining people's belief in the fairness of the justice system. So next steps are we actually have a hearing before Judge Brinkley on Monday, a hearing that she's ordered, despite the fact that both Meek's team and the district attorney's team agree that no hearing is necessary because he's entitled to a new trial. But despite that, Meek and the taxpayers of Pennsylvania are being put to the burden of conducting a hearing on Monday before Judge Brinkley.
Meek, you're here in part because you make music that a lot of people like and know about, and that makes you famous.
Yeah.
But you've been talking about how the problems in your case are something that a lot of people deal with who don't have your resources, and yet also there were some weird things. The judge, for example, you say, asked you to sing a Boyz II Men song and give some kind of shout out, wanted you to change your record label for a local manager. Is your case about a judge who did individual things wrong, or is your case about systemic racism?
You know, I just think some of the things in my case were kind of unethical. It had nothing to do with me being on probation. The reason why we're here, the reason why I'm out on bail is actually approaching, we're talking about an officer who the district attorney is not standing behind his testimony. 3 other people actually had their cases vindicated because the district attorney couldn't stand on the testimony of the same cop that arrested me. So it's like, it's 12, 13 years later, why am I even still on probation? Having to go to trial on Monday, I'm basically having a hearing to almost decide if I have to go back to trial in this case when people have already had their cases thrown out due to the integrity of the same cop that arrested me. So,
isn't that the bigger question? In your view, what is this spotlight about the way probation works, at least for people who don't have enough money to fight it?
Can I explain him on it? Right now,
Jump ball, you want to take the question?
Yeah,
you go first.
If I drive through the Lincoln Tunnel right now, I could be arrested just from crossing a state line by mistaken. I could be just going to a certain store through a tunnel. And I've been on probation about, 11 years of my life so far, my whole adult life. just driving through a tunnel could send me back to prison for 4 years, especially while I'm out on bail. Popping a willie, actually getting a speeding ticket can send me back to prison for a long time.
So you're saying something that might actually surprise a lot of people watching at home, which is people think about reoffending as committing another crime or committing violence, which is a good reason to put someone back in jail.
Yeah.
You're saying this is stalking you where lawful activity of a narrow nature based on what one judge decides 10 plus years after your infraction, it could put you in jail.
Yeah, they put me in jail. Actually, in New York, I was actually charged with an F1 felony for willing a motorcycle, which that's a F1 felony is a serious offense. And actually, the court of New York actually dismissed the charges, but I still went back to Philadelphia in front of a Philadelphia judge and still was like sentenced for the charges that was dismissed in New York.
Well, I think, Ari, you hit on an important point, which is long probationary sentences, like Meek has had since he was 19, he's now 31. Long probationary sentences put people in this cycle where even a technical violation, such as a travel violation for someone like Meek who has to report his schedule, or popping a wheelie, which the case was ultimately dismissed, could land someone back in jail. And in this case, actually did land Meek back in jail for 2 to 4 years.
And so you've become a cause, which has got to be somewhat interesting for you to be inside of. I was listening to the new Pusha T, where he says, "Angel on my shoulder, what should we do? Devil on the other, what would Meek do? Pop a wheelie, tell the judge to Akinelli, tell the judge to basically go away." What did you think hearing yourself in that new song?
I just thought it was a compliment with Pusha T naming this song "What Would Meek Do." It's Pusha T, Kanye, two great artists. I just took it as a compliment. I don't really think the whole song was like based off of me, but
well, it's called "What Would Meek Do."
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying like Pusha T said "What Would Meek Do," so I took that as a big compliment. You know, they're two great artists that's doing their thing, and you know that was his opinion.
You work on these issues systemically.
Yeah.
Are you going to advocate for other individuals by name, the way we've seen some people do at state and federal clemency, or how do you want to help those people that are still in?
Actually, my lawyers are trying to help me attach themselves to a few guys. One of the guys, his name is Eric Riddick, guy I spent a lot of time with in prison. He has like a messed up case where he basically proved his innocence, but due to certain statutories and laws that was created, that even if you prove yourself innocent, you still couldn't get out. So, you know, me and Michael Rubin, we're working on our own foundation. We didn't actually gather everything up, but we're coming with something real powerful to give back and bring a bigger platform to criminal justice reform and make some things work.
Jordan, Steve, and Meek Mill working on this case as it goes forward. Thank you for coming on the beat and telling us about your work.
Yeah, thanks for having me, too, man.
An important discussion to have, and a story we'll stay on.